To be entertained or not to be entertained? That is the question when it comes to Ridley Scott's brand new film Gladiator II, the sequel to Gladiator from 2000. And guys, I have to be honest, I have to say, I am not the biggest fan of Gladiator. Although I do like Russell Crowe, I do like the plotline in general, I love the action-packed scenes, but I'm not the biggest fan of what is an all-encompassing of the Roman Empire, right? Movies set in the Roman Empire, gladiators fighting barbaric times. However, I do absolutely admire Ridley Scott and his directorial perspective. Obviously, he's most known for one, Gladiator. He's the director and producer there, and he's the director and producer of Gladiator II, this one, but also he's known for Alien, The Martian. He's just really good. So that's the reason why I was excited to see Gladiator II. I was curious where they were going to take it and what they were going to do with it. Gladiator II tells the story of Lucius, who is Lucilla's son from the first movie. He is grown up now and becomes a prisoner of war after his town becomes conquered by the Romans, and then ultimately becomes a gladiator, fighting for his life each and every day. So let me start off with a positive for this movie. As we expected, the movie is super action-packed, filled with all kinds of fighting, many scenes at the Colosseum, war scenes, riot scenes, you name it. There are also pretty good deal of versatility in these scenes. When it comes to these scenes, we see basic fights, fights with all kinds of animals, fights on ships where they quite literally fill up the arena with water in shark-infested waters. Pretty cool. There is no shortage of fun, huge spectacle fighting, and I think that there's more action in this one than the first one. So if that appeals to you, I think you'll have a really good time with all of the action that we get in this movie. However, on the negative side, some of these action-packed scenes, specifically the ones involving animals, are very CGI heavy. Okay, so there's one scene in particular that really stands out here, and this scene utilizes monkeys fighting in the arena with the gladiators. They look really bad in my opinion, very fake, and in turn, unfortunately, really distracting. And also, unfortunately, that cheap look of some of these really do kind of, at least for me, take you out of the movie for a bit. So that was a little bit disappointing to me. Apart from these distracting aspects, I did think that the practical effects here, the blood and gore, actually looked pretty good. So that's a positive for me. A pretty large mixed feeling I have for this movie, and actually it's leaning more towards the negative side, is the lead character that we were given. So Paul Mescal plays Lucius, our main character, and guys, I just really didn't like the character. I don't know, I haven't seen any other reviews, I might be alone here, but for me, it wasn't all that compelling, and they wrote him almost to be identical to Maximus, but without any of his better qualities. I can't help but comparing him to Maximus, who is a character for me who's far more compelling, a general, a true leader, a humble man, a true fighter. They try to make Lucius have these exact same qualities, but it didn't come across for me. Instead, he seemed a little bit underdeveloped and even borderline boring. Also, to me, he did not come across as a strong leader. Guys, there's literally one scene where he's trying to amp his gladiator comrades up, and his pep talk is, "This is about survival. Survive." Come on, dude, bro. I think we got that the first, 2-3 days of being a gladiator in the arena. Thanks for that, Lucius. And to be fair, I don't even think Paul Mescal did a bad job necessarily. I just think that he was written in a far too much of a boring way, not to mention that the character was predictable as all get out. So because our lead character wasn't all very much engaging to me, I was more so interested in some of the subplots that we were given. I was really happy to see Connie Nielsen reprise her role as Lucilla, and in this movie she has a close relationship with Pedro Pascal's character Acacius, who is now the general of the Roman Empire. I found him to be quite an interesting character, one that's actually more similar to Maximus than Lucius is in ways, so I really enjoyed the story that we were given pertaining to him and Lucilla a lot. There are also some other great performances in the movie. Joseph Quinn, obviously he was a pretty big supporting role in one of the movies earlier this year, Quiet Place Day 1, and obviously he is iconic for his role as Eddie Munson in the Stranger Things series. This one he plays an emperor who is really good. I thought that he was good. This is kind of a different character than I've ever seen him play before. Actually, both of the emperors in this movie were really funny. I don't know if they were intended to be funny, but I went with my sister and like every little thing they said, we were like, what? They're just so silly and so extra. I don't know if that's a Roman Empire thing, just so extra, and the eyeliner was out of control. Also, Denzel Washington does a really great job in this one. He plays the man that essentially buys Lucius, I guess, and Lucius is like his gladiator. He fights for him. His character has a lot of different sides to him. He's charming yet conniving, and Denzel Washington really portrays these aspects of the character well. I thought he did great. So as far as the filming of the movie, I thought the cinematography was pretty good here. The various scenes and settings we get taken to are pretty beautiful. However, I felt there were a lot of historical inaccuracies in this movie. Some people don't mind about that. I personally do. It like bugs me. I think about it in my head. Like, for example, I caught a glimpse of someone with a clipboard, and we know clipboards weren't invented until the late 1800s. Obviously, this movie takes place in 211 AD, and of course, the use of sharks in the Colosseum is pretty unrealistic. However, the shark-infested waters in one of the games in the Colosseum was pretty badass, so I can't complain too much there. Final couple things I didn't particularly like about the movie. One, at the ending, I don't want to go into any spoilers, but I felt that the final conflict, so to say, was a little bit unrealistic. I don't think the Roman Empire would have had the response that they had in this movie. And then two, the movie gets a bit long. Like the first one, I feel like there are some scenes that could have easily been cut out. It drags on a little, but it doesn't drag on to the point of annoyance. So that's good. That's a good thing. Overall, guys, this movie is decent. The action, it is at an all-time high. There are some pretty badass parts and beautiful scenery, and I do like some of the performances here. However, with a lead character that isn't super impressive to me, some unrealistic aspects, and some drawn-out pieces, this movie gets a 3 out of 5. I do tend to get a little bit nitpicky in movies though, me personally, especially if I notice unrealistic aspects and inaccuracies, but I will say for you guys, the person I went to the movie theater with, right after the movie finished, the first thing they said was, that was pretty badass. So if you enjoy The First Gladiator, if you enjoy over-the-top Roman Empire action, gladiators fighting, so much action, I think that you will like this one. Let's see the general consensus. Okay, this one was given a 3.1 average audience score, 71% Rotten Tomatoes, 7 out of 10 IMDb. Okay, so I give it a 3. Spot on with the audience. But as we know, as we've been through this many times, it's always 5s and 1s. Yeah, I think that's accurate. Take with that what you will. Obviously, Rotten Tomatoes is a little bit on the higher side, which is good. I think that it is, no matter how you take it, it is still pretty cool that 24 years later they made a remake to The First Gladiator and were able to really incorporate a lot of stuff from the first one. It's definitely not a standalone. It's the same sort of story continued. So, guys, if you like the first one, I think you might like this one, but no, there are some issues that I talked about that might take you out of the film a little bit, but overall, it's fun. I would suggest going to see it. It's action-packed, and if Gladiator had a big impact on you, give it a go. But what do you guys think? Do you guys disagree? Do you agree? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching, and catch me next time. Peace.